This is the story of how I destroyed many lives. It all started on a dark night. I was talking to Rodrigo about Othello, a short man with no soul. Rodrigo was distraught because Othello had married a woman he loved. Of course I wanted to help my friend, so I decided to help him destroy Othello. It had nothing to do with the fact that I despised Othello. Actually, it did. So I went to her father and told him that Desdemona had married the short man with no soul. He was even angrier than we were. I wanted better for my daughters. So we led the mob of three to confront Othello. We found Othello, but unfortunately he was with the police chief, who favored him and declared that we had no right to break up the marriage. Then he sent Othello to a post in New York to keep things under control.
After that, Rodrigo was upset. Of course, I was already thinking of new ways to bring Othello to ruin. I assured him that it would all work out, and told him to follow us to New York. My plot was simple. If Othello thought his wife loved someone else, he would despair, and his life would be ruined. Cassio, of course, was one of the most eligible bachelors on the police force in New York.
When we arrived, Desdemona greeted Cassio exuberantly, and I later made mention of this to Othello, as any good friend should. Plus, I knew it would torture his soul. I could have sworn I saw something outside, so I volunteered myself and Rodrigo to go investigate. Once outside, I explained to Rodrigo my fake suspicions, that Cassio and Desdemona were deeply in love. So I told him to get Cassio fired through whatever means necessary.
I never dared ask what he did to Cassio. Whatever it was, it worked well, and Othello fired Cassio.
It added to my case when Desdemona came to defend Cassio. She played it better than Shakespeare. The next segment of my plot was easily set in motion. I merely coached Cassio on approaching Desdemona to beg for his job and asking her to talk to her husband. After that, Rodrigo came to me, claiming that the plan wasn't working and he would never win Desdemona. He was an impatient fool. I assured him that everything would work out, but he didn't believe me, but decided to stay. That night, we were at an art showing. I stalked Cassio the whole night with my brilliant disguise. Cassio sent my wife to fetch Desdemona. They looked very cozy standing there talking, so I snapped a few pictures. Then, my meddling wife came in and ushered them to a private room. Luckily, I managed to get in and hide in a dark corner. Cassio explained his situation to her. She was sympathetic, which worked quite well for my plot. She told him that she wouldn't leave Othello alone until she got him his job back. Conveniently, Othello walked in at that moment, causing Cassio to leave like a rat deserting a sinking ship. I couldn't have planned it better. Desdemona bugged Othello for the rest of the week. He finally escaped and came to me with his complaints. I subtly implied that Desdemona might be in love with Cassio. And by subtly, I mean with all the subtle force of a runaway train. I warned him to watch how they acted together and confirm his suspicions for himself. Through pure luck, I managed to find Desdemona's bracelet on the ground. I then planted it in Cassio's room. He seemed to like it and began to wear it at all times, even in front of Othello. Othello went to Desdemona and demanded she tell him where the bracelet was. She told him that she didn't have it with her, but it was in a safe place. Bianca, a girl in love with Cassio, saw Cassio's bracelet and asked him where he'd gotten it. He said he just found it, but she thought she knew better. She insisted that he tell her the name and address of the woman he was seeing. Cassio told her to leave. She did, but not before taking the bracelet. I assured Othello that I'd provide him with proof. Conveniently enough, Cassio was just walking by. I told Othello to hide. so that I could get Cassio to admit the truth. At least, my version of the truth. Cassio started complaining about his job once more. I asked him how Desdemona was doing in getting his job back. He mentioned that if it was up to Bianca, she would have his job back yesterday. Cassio agreed, saying that he believed the poor thing truly loved him. Of course, Othello believed he was speaking of Desdemona. Then I asked him if rumors of him marrying her were true. He denied it, saying that he was just leading her on for entertainment. Even better, he continued to berate her for loving him, laughing the entire time. Just then, Bianca stomped in and threw the bracelet at him, accusing him of taking it from another woman. Bianca stormed out, Cassio following like a puppy. Needless to say, Othello was convinced and furious. He raved about taking them both out of the picture. I could barely contain my glee. I don't know how Othello confronted Desdemona, but I have my suspicions, considering I walked in right after he left. I quickly assured Desdemona that Othello was merely going through a phase, which was a complete lie. But I hate emotional women. After Desdemona left, Rodrigo came in, once again doubting my genius. I explained to him that Cassio was now in a hindrance, and told him to go and knock him off. I knew they were both too incompetent to knock each other off, so I decided to help things along. Unfortunately, Cassio only injured his leg. After that, the short man came in. The fool thought I'd saved Cassio. It served my purposes, so I played along. It was the perfect scene, until Bianca came in and ruined it. My plans finally came to fruition, as Othello took Desdemona out of the picture. Then, my big-mouth wife ruined everything by telling Othello that Desdemona was not in love with Cassio, and never had been. Sadly, I had to take my wife out of the picture, because I couldn't have Othello knowing everything. Then, for some reason, Othello punched me. It may have had something to do with the fact that he found out about all my lies. My entire plan started to fall apart like an underbaked cookie. The only good thing was that Othello was stripped of his status and took himself out of the picture. Unfortunately, Cassio was given Othello's job and promptly had me arrested. And that's how I ruined everyone's life, including my own. Now I really want a cookie.
Oppan Gangnam Style.